let's get into today's video. So what we're going to do today is look at how you can use noise to create a versatile hi-hat pattern. It's going to provide nice energy and also help with creating tension and build in your tracks. So there's many ways to go about making a sound like this, but I'm going to show you one example here today in hopes that it maybe gives you some ideas of things to try out in your own projects. So here's what it sounds like in the context of a little groove. Okay, so let's just solo this, and I think let's just turn this up a little bit too while we're looking at it, and we'll dive into the inner workings of this sound here. So the first thing I want to just show you the MIDI and what I'm using to create this sound. So I'm just using 3x OSC and a simple noise oscillator, super simple. And right now I have it set to a really tight envelope here. And then as far as the MIDI goes, what I'm actually doing here is instead of playing this like an offbeat hi-hat, I'm actually moving it forward, and the MIDI's being triggered 1/16th note before the offbeat, which gives it a little bit more of a different feel. I mean, you could go either way here, but this is just kind of something different I've done in this particular example. And I'm using delay to really make the groove here. So I just wanted to mention that. So let's have a look at kind of what I'm processing the sound with as far as delays go and etc. So the first plugin in the chain here is just a volume plugin. Excuse me. I'm just trimming down the volume, so that's not really important. So I'm just going to turn these off for now, and let's hear it just raw. So just a super bright noise, really quite annoying at the moment. The main plugin that's doing the bulk of the work here is this delay. And you're hearing most of the delay. You're mostly hearing the delay rather. I have a little bit of the dry signal in there, but mostly we're hearing the wet signal. It's a 16th note delay with a ping pong setting, and I'm distorting it a little bit by using the bit crusher and the sample rate reduction to gritty up the sound a little bit, make it a little bit more dirty. And that's what it sounds like with the delay. I'm following that with a second delay here to add a little bit more groove. This one's not on a ping pong setting, and I'm using a longer timing to kind of contrast that first delay. So it just kind of adds a little bit more groove. I did have some extra reverb on this. I decided against it when I was making it, so that's not even being used. And then I'm just cleaning up the sound a little bit here with this EQ. I'm taking off most of the low end, rolling everything up to around 900 hertz off the low end, and then even taking some of the top end off, as I felt it was a little bit too bright. Okay. All right. So now we have a few other plugins here that are adding some movement and helping it sit in with everything else. So just some basic side chaining here. And then what's more interesting are these LFOs that are controlling the decay. So this one is just a simple decay LFO. You can see the decay is just being modulated by a small amount, just adding a little bit of movement to it, helping it, feel more alive. And you may have noticed there that every so often the decay opens up. It kind of pops open for a minute and then closes again. And that's because of this base LFO here. So let's have a look at these. So the base LFO is just simply linked to the base of the decay LFO. So if I move this one up, it just controls the base. But as it's set right now, it's not doing anything. It's set to the same base as this one. And I'm using this in case I want to automate the decay open like this to create a build, for example. Like that. But what I'm doing here, so I have the option to automate the base like that to create some nice, a nice build, help with the transition, create some tension. But what I've done here is just used an automation clip to control the volume or the amount of this. That's why you see it popping open every so often. So I'm just turning that on with the volume every other bar on the third beat. So we just get a little bit of randomness there with that decay opening up every so often. And this is a random LFO shape at a fairly fast speed. And then what I could do is, make some of these patterns unique and make some changes to when I want to open that decay up at that random LFO setting. So I have some options there to play around with that. Or if I just want to automate the decay for some builds like I just showed you. So super versatile sound and easy to make. And it just always works really well, especially for the type of music I make. So I thought that I would show you this in hopes that maybe you can, take some of the information and maybe use it in your own projects. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And then I'll just leave you with a little example of how this might sound in the context of a track. And that's a wrap, son.